Hi, I'm Maddie at Querri. A lot of customer success teams find it hard to monitor their health score. They either use some spreadsheets someone built 2 years ago, or rely on gut bias, or pay for a provider. However, these providers and platforms can cost 5, 6 figures, take months to implement, and require an admin to oversee them. I'm going to show you with Querri how to monitor your customer success health in about 10 minutes, make it reoccurring with no platform at all. So to get started, let's connect our data. So for this project, I have support tickets, CRM accounts, and then I have billing data and product usage. So now that our data is loaded in, we can see it all right here and see that Querri gives us a brief overview. We have 1,000 accounts, 24.7 million in total ARR. It's our usage metrics, ticket volumes, really everything that we need to monitor the health of all of these different accounts. So to start, let's create a sort of like health score. So we're going to say score each account 1 to 5 on 4 singles. Login frequency over the past 30 days. 5 is equal to daily active. 1 is equal to no logins. Open ticket count, 5 is equal to 0. Open tickets is equal to, let's set to 3 or more. Tickets, days since last CRM engagement, and we can say 5 is within 7 days, 1 is no, or we'll say over 60 days. Over 60 days, and contract value at risk. 5 is equal to no risk flags. 1 is equal to flag at risk, or within 30 days of renewal with no confirmed renewal. Add each as a separate call. So this really is just going to help both us and Querri itself get a bit of a better idea of what's going on with each account and a better way to like categorize accounts by sort of their risk, what's doing good, and what we need to focus on. So now that Querri has run this for us, we can see our new data set right here and a brief summary. We have good login engagement, but there is high support load, not very good CRM engagement, and half of our accounts are showing contact risk. So there's essentially a lot we need to handle here. So in order to see like what accounts sort of are in the worst position based on all these factors, which are in the best, let's compute a sort of like weighted composite health score. So I'm going to tell Querri to do just that, compute a weighted composite health score for each account using these weights. And the weights I'm going to choose here is essentially, I'm looking at, if I'm the company, currently right now, what's most important to me. So we're going to use some different weights, 40%, 25%. But what we recommend at Querri is start with whatever you think would be good for your weights, then wait a few months, 2, 3, up to 6 months, and then go back and recalibrate your weights based on what was correct, what wasn't correct, in order to make your model more effective. But to start, let's put usage score at 40%, support score at 25%, and let's start with this engagement score at 20%, and billing risk at 15%. Express the final score as a value from 1 to 5. Now that Querri has computed this for us, we can see our new data set. See that our average score is 3.31 out of 5, with scores ranging from 2 to 4.4. This suggests that we have no truly fully healthy accounts, but an average at 3.31 shows like sort of what Querri's saying here. We have moderate, but essentially it's not like our average is healthy. We definitely have some work to do. So before we go to the next steps, let's create a visual for this. And I'm going to tell Querri to create a component scores heat map, just so we can get a little bit of a better idea of what's going on here. So now that Querri has created this for us, we can see, we can click into this and see the correlations. We can see that when it correlates with composite health score, what really affects the most is the open ticket score and the contract at risk score. What's interesting is we set login frequency to 40%. However, it really only correlates 20% with the health score. Now, does this mean we need to recalibrate? Not necessarily, because we're not trying to predict the health score. We're trying to predict which accounts are going to churn, which accounts are we going to actually continue having, and which ones are we going to lose. But just to look into it a little bit more and see maybe if it suggests we need to change the weights in a little bit. Let's look at the, let's say, top drivers by, or composite health score. Variance, include a bar chart. Just to get a little bit better idea if we should recalibrate or not in the future. So now that we have that in, we can, okay, that was a weird way to say that. All right, so let's take a look at what Querri generated us here. Now we can see that our open ticket score carries 59.3% of the variation, then contract risk score at 33.9%. So these are definitely our big two. Not necessarily saying that these two aren't important, but essentially these are what we need to focus on, because there's a lot of difference going on between different accounts in the open tickets and contract risk. Then CRM engagement and login frequency seems to be pretty stable across a lot of accounts. And so that's just what Querri's summarizing right here. They're stable, and that weight right now does not necessarily equal impact. We may need rebalancing. What I think is a good idea to do is wait a little bit, see how our current weights are doing with churn, and then readjust, as opposed to just simply readjusting early and potentially missing anything. Now that I have sort of all the components I want, if you want more components, you can go ahead and ask it more questions, dig deeper into anything else. I have everything. I want to build something that I can set on a date and have it reoccur, then eventually adjust the weights, present it. So I'm going to tell Querri to build a dashboard with health score, distribution, a ranked account list, and a drill down by score component. And that's all to also include all the visuals we already created. So now Querri has generated all this for us. Tells us that we have on the dashboard health score distribution, the top ranked accounts, component breakdown by tier. If we scroll down here, we can see our average health scores and then how many we have in each. So a lot in the average, a lot in 2.5 to 3. So definitely want to look at that. You can see our top accounts by health score, so we can see what's really doing good. And then here's our ranked account list as an interactive table. So it has all of the accounts, or the top 50 accounts. And then right here, which is interesting, is health score component breakdown by account tier. So essentially, like, if we're excellent, healthy, stable, what are our different components looking like? And this kind of explains why login frequency isn't the best at telling us the health, because it's essentially stable across almost all of them. We see the drop down here, but it's showing us that logins aren't really our issues. It also explains why contract risk doesn't explain that much as well, because it's relatively stable for the good ones. We see CRM engagement stable. Open ticket is really what defines from going from stable or at risk to healthy and excellent, which is very interesting. And now we can go down here and open our dashboard, and we see this sort of explains what's going on here. And we can see all the charts that we just did. And now what's interesting is now that we have a process that we like, we can automate this process just to run weekly. So we click weekly right here, and we can schedule the automation. And now this will run every week. It'll update every week. And essentially, once we get more data, we can update our model. We can add more based on what we want. And another interesting thing is, so this sample data set only has data from a month of March. But once we start getting a full quarter of data, what you can do is you can generate a query wrap. So all you would have to do is just say, generate a query wrapped of last quarter. And that will give you a full presentation that you can go in and download as a PowerPoint and edit it to show to leadership or your team to give everybody a better idea of what's going on. But that was just how to take a process that either is usually really hard to do, lagging behind, or costs a lot of money, and do it easily with your own data by yourself in 10 minutes with the power of Querri. Thanks for watching.